welcome back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve. And it is, well, happy Passover. I know Passover is starting tonight, this Saturday night. And then Easter is
The 20th.
A week and a day. Yeah. So we're getting ready for that. So I hope your April is going very well. We are very hot. It's been 99s, almost 100s.
100. My temperatures say 100.
Awful. But it is what it is.
We know where we live.
I'm going to pause and move the bunnies so you can see Beth, and we'll get on with our nonsense. All right, we're back. We've moved the bunnies. I'm going to go first. I haven't done much, but worked on one project. I talked about the Crafted Life Companion notebook cover that I wanted to make for my daughter, and here is a picture of it. Here is a picture of the diagram of the back and the front in black and white from the pattern. So the back has obviously, I mean, the outside has a front and back and a spine, and then a cover that folds around and closes. And then on the inside, it has a right panel, left panel, and you can either have pockets on the left-hand side. You can have pockets or a notepad, or and then there's other pockets on the inside of the flap, and there's a pen holder. So I spent almost one whole night cutting out all the pattern pieces. I printed the pattern, I think it was last weekend, at FedEx office, just on regular paper. And then I spent, I think it was Monday night, like literally till like 3 in the morning, cutting out all the pieces and organizing it and figuring out what I wanted to do. And then I spent another evening with all my batiks. I purchased two. I went to Joann's last week, and I purchased two. You have to buy 2 yard increments there, and so I had to buy a lot of fabric that I didn't need, but I will use, as I really like batiks. So I bought batiks, and here's a photo of the 2 colors that I purchased. And then I decided, I pulled out all my scraps and of all my batiks from like my quilted coat that I made and all kinds of stuff. So I spent another night cutting out all the fabric and the interfacing. And this uses a fleece. It uses a regular mid-weight interfacing and then a fleece interfacing. And so I had to buy 2 yards of the fleece interfacing that I don't need. I only need like this much. So, but it was good I had extra, because anyway, that fleece interfacing, when I cut it on the table, leaves like a grit, like a sand, like I guess from cutting through the sticky part. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. Anyway, so then I decided to start assembling it last night. And here is the back, front, and spine. The back and the front are the new fabric that I purchased right here. This spine you may recognize from my quilted coat if you've been with us for a while. And this is going to be the cover that will fold around the front. So when it's said and done, it will look like this is the book, and then this will snap shut over that, which I think will be quite pretty. So here's a picture of the fabric all laid out for the outside. So it's just the 3 pieces I just showed you and the cover kind of lined up. And then here's a picture of and I can show you guys, I'm just talking in pictures while you're sitting there. Here's a picture, okay. The inside, I had a problem. So last night when I started to sew it, I realized that I had been mistaken about which pockets went where. So if you look at this picture, excuse me, this long pocket that's like green and brownish colored, I thought was going to go here on the inside of the flap, which would have matched. And I thought this little blue pocket was going to go here on the polka dotted fabric. But then when I laid it out, I realized, no, the long pocket goes there and it doesn't match. And I was so upset because I didn't have any more of this teal colored fabric. I didn't have any more. So I sat there, and also I had only enough interfacing to do the pen holder part later. So I was like, well, if I use the interfacing, I'm gonna have to buy more interfacing to do that. So, but I was like, no, I don't want to sew it like that. So I took the long pocket and cut it down. So here's the new picture of the actual layout. What I did was I took, fortunately the pockets are the same width. They're just different lengths. So I took the pattern for the small pocket, put it on top of the green one, which I didn't bring with me, I'm sorry, and cut it smaller. And I had to do some surgery on the interfacing on the back, because I had to peel it off and cut it so that it was the right, because the interfacing, it's like this. You have the fabric, and then there's interfacing, you know, with a border on each edge. So I had to fix the interfacing on that little pocket. So I was able to, here's the new layout. I was able to make the little pocket green, and then I had more of this dark blue fabric, so I made the long pocket. And I think it looks better, don't you?
Yeah.
And then this flower fabric in the back is the one with the big circles, is the lining, which won't be seen if the notebook is, if the journal is put in there, but that's a lining there.
Yeah.
So I laid everything out, and was this morning early, because I went to bed so early last night. I woke up at the crack of dawn. So this morning I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start sewing. And I put these together, and then you're supposed to put this is fleece interfacing. I have interfacing, regular medium weight interfacing on each piece. So a square, a long rectangle, and another rectangle here. And then after you sew it together, you're supposed to put this fleece interfacing that's fusible on here. And you're supposed to either use a pressing cloth or press it from the right side, otherwise you'll melt this. Well, I had my iron, I think this is what happened. I had my iron on cotton with steam because I was sewing. And I went to put this interfacing on, and I was ironing from this side. And I don't know which side it was now. I think it was this side. I went to do it, and all of a sudden the cotton was all wrinkled up. And I guess maybe I don't know if I shrank the fleece or what. It was a disaster.
I do it a lot with the project bags, because I use a heavier interfacing. And if I iron, then it'll wrinkle. But if I press,
well, I was only pressing,
then it doesn't. And it just, so you have to peel it all off and press the fabric again. I ripped this off and peeled it off. I was freaking out, and I ripped the medium weight interfacing, and I put it back. But and I cut a new part, and so actually I was trying. So I didn't do it this way. What I did was I laid it this way and put a pressing cloth over it, and just very gently, moved from spot to spot. And I realized I'm looking at it now, and it's separated a little bit, so I need to when you sew it, it'll get in there.
Yeah. So I need to re-iron that just to get it on there. But that was a disaster this morning. So I had two disasters. I realized I cut it wrong, and then the interfacing was messed up. But that is all I've been working on. But I needed a few things for this, to finish it, it calls for snaps, little cam snaps. But in the video, this is by Arabesque Scissors. It's called Crafted Life Companion if you want to find it. It's a really great pattern, very well written, and we talked about that last week. It calls for cam snaps, but in the video tutorial, she puts in magnet snaps, and I really wanted magnet snaps. So, and I knew Joann's is becoming now a wasteland, so I went to Hobby Lobby, and the only magnetic snaps they had were sew-in. No, I'm not doing that. And so that, well, maybe Mole Queen will, and I bought more interfacing since I messed up the interface. So maybe Mole Queen will have magnetic snaps because they do all kinds of stuff. So I haven't been to Mole Queen in a while. Have you?
Mm-hmm.
They moved everything around, and they have made a huge classroom now. And it's got like all these embroidery machines, and I guess they used to rent out hotel space, but they said like it's exorbitant costs. And they're like, we have this building. And because they have other stores, I think they were able to put it in this one that's real close to us. And they said that the last time they had a class over 3 days, they had like 150 people there. And I guess they're doing a runner.
I could see that.
A 4th of July runner is their next class. I was like, what's your next class? You can go online and look at their classes, but they provide the machine and all the materials. I think you just pay for the class and you go and make the thing. And I'm like, that sounds like so much fun. So anyway, I went there. Guess what? No snaps. So, but one of the things about this pattern is that it calls for a 3/8 inch, not a 5/8 and not a quarter. And I'm like, I don't have a 3/8 inch mark on my plate. Now it's about the same as 10 centimeters. So I was like, but I've also been wanting that tape. So this is the diagonal seam tape that I think you have it. It's white.
I love it.
Yeah, and it shows a quarter seam. But I was asking the lady, they're so helpful at Mall Queen.
Oh, they are, aren't they? And they know what they're talking about.
And they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And they talk about it all day long. I love that. So, support your local quilt shop, your local yarn shop, your local cross stitch shop, because they know what they're talking about. Okay. So I asked her, I'm like, I need a 3/8 inch guide. What do you know, will this tape won't help, will it? But I still want the tape because I still value that. But she showed me this. It's called a ideal seam gauge. It's very cool. So it's got these little arrows here, these descending arrows, and it's got little tiny holes. So you put your sewing needle in a hole. So here's 3/8. You put your sewing needle and you go there, and you can put a guide tape right here along this edge, and that, you know, it's 3/8 inch. So I got that, and I got the tape. So, and the tape is removable, so I can put it 3/8 for this project and then move it for a quarter later. But it's got, look, all the way up to 1.5 inches. Isn't that cool? So I was like, yeah, that's worth $15.
Yeah, but if you're
But it's worth
quilting on your own and you want to do like a diagonal this way, you know,
Yeah,
like this,
yeah.
you just put that measurement that you're wanting, and you don't have to. Is that right? Or put that thing that doesn't work, the little thing that you poke into your.
Oh yeah, the guide.
And here's somebody that doesn't work.
What is happening? Then I bought this tool, but for some reason I can't get it out of the bag. Oh, I think it's taped. Here, hang on. This is called the 4-in-1 Essential Sewing Tool. And one of the things I need for this project is an awl to poke holes for the snaps or for different things. Oh yeah, it's got a gummy thing. And I asked her about that, and she said this would work. And it's like, it's really literally a 4-in-1. So it has a gummy goop on here. It's wood, which is really cool. It's got this, which is for turning, you can poke out holes, but it's not super sharp to poke holes in it. But then it also, under here, has, I'll hold it in front of the bunnies, has an actual awl that you can use to grab, small quilting pieces running through your machine, or you can poke holes through fabric or whatever. And what's nice is it has a cover. so you don't kill yourself. And then this end is, I'll show it in front of the bunny, it's got an angled end for finger pressing.
Oh.
And then under here is a seam ripper. So that's cool. I already have a seam ripper, but I like toys. This is by Alex Anderson.
Yeah, but if you're already using that tool for something, you don't have to go hunt for a different
Exactly.
one.
Yeah, so I've been wanting a little seam, finger pressing tool, and I really like that. And so this is cool, new toy for me it's by Alex Anderson's 4-in-1 Essential Sewing Tool. And I really like it. So I'm excited to start using that. And that is literally all I've done. I have worked on my hat, just knitting around a circle. I'll bring it out and show you how far I've gotten. I watched this one knitter who does progress. She'll do a progress marker, so she'll put a marker here, and then and then a week later you see how far she's knit, And but the hat is big enough now to be its own yarn bag, so I've been working on this in my little breaks here and there, but it's just going, whatever. Whenever it's done, but something to do with myself. So other than that, that's it. And I am going gangbusters on this. Hannah's birthday. It's for Hannah. I not so clandestinely, but I was like, hey, just a little side question. What kind of journals do you buy? She said Moleskine. I'm like, okay, knew that. So, so Mulqueen has no snaps, has no magnetic snaps. So I even though I say support your local shops, none of my local shops have anything I need. So I did order the little magnet snaps, but I told Mark I need these tomorrow. You can order them on Amazon, and I need them to come tomorrow. So I also got a new journal, because one of the things you have to do as you're sewing this is actually put the journal in and make sure that it fits. Mm-hmm. So before you put the snaps in its final place, you have to put the journal in so you know it's going to work.
So it was one of those things that if you have $25, you can get it overnight.
No, I don't know, because he's got Prime. So
I know, but there's.
Oh yeah, and I know he ordered a few other things, but yeah, we're getting it tomorrow. That and the snaps. So probably tonight and tomorrow. I think I can knock this out pretty quickly. It's a lot of turning, because for every pocket that you make it's double-sided. So you make a double-sided pocket, turn it inside out, sew it shut, and then you sew it on. So it is time consuming, but I'm excited about it. I think it's a really great idea. I think she'll like it. And just found out that she's having a concert in early May. She has 2 performances within 2 days of each other. So I'm gonna fly out. So I'm gonna. It's her birthday's on the late April. So I'm gonna fly out early May. So I'll be able to give it to her in person. So that's exciting. I don't have my tickets yet. We're going to talk tonight about the best time for me to fly in, but I'm very excited. Yeah, so, and that's me.
Speaking of Hannah's birthday, I made her this.
She loves my little cows.
I like the pattern in that the steps were fairly well done, but on the head, it says stuff here. That is the only time it tells you when to stuff it. And it's kind of important, If you stuff it too early, you're crocheting over stuffing. You stuff it too late, you can't get it in there, right? And then putting the pieces together. Attach the head here between this and this. I'm like, how?
Oh, that's a disappointment.
How? But I figured it out, kind of, sort of. The hair, I didn't figure out as much. I just kind of made something up. Because it doesn't even tell you. It tells you to put this hair up here. But the finished thing, it shows it with hair around the neck and on, but it doesn't tell you how to put that on. And I tried putting it on the way they did the one on the top of the head. And I ended up like almost popping the little head off. So I said, okay, no, not like that.
That's not the way. This ain't the way.
So I just made something up. Anyway, there he is.
Very cute.
It's very cute. You want
For
some?
display only.
Them boogers.
It's that sticky glue that they put things on.
And then you recall my FFO of
Here's your duck.
cute boots.
Cute boots.
I was unhappy with the duck. I think I mentioned.
Because he was facing the wrong way.
He was facing down, and I couldn't get it to lay flat like I wanted. And I was like, well, maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that. And then I went, why did I not look on Amazon?
Yeah.
I just didn't. I want to go get it right now, is what it was.
Mm.
And then I look on Amazon, and they have a duck with red boots.
Duh.
So I redid the top a little bit.
Oh, I didn't notice that he had red boots. Oh, that's very cute. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's got red boots.
Perfect.
And then I joined a SAL,
No, I didn't know that.
called Stitch the Rainbow, and it's for the Threadworks projects for Night Garden.
Mm.
I decided to start with Moonlit Moth. This is by Counting Puddles, and that's what I'm working on right now. Here's my progress so far, and this pattern is driving me bananas. Clear as mud, Naomi. The pink lines are back stitching over the other stuff.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I've seen a lot of people finish it, and I'm persevering. But let's just say it's a little challenging.
Well, a little bit. It looks so busy. You can kind of probably just make it up. You know what I mean?
I think that errors will be forgiven. in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, my temperature chart. This is designed by myself for Three Sisters Creative. Under the sea temperature chart. It has been 100 degrees for 3 days.
Ugh, it's so gross.
Today too, I just happen to know that, but
So this is April down here?
yeah, this is April down here, yeah. You see those pink days? Those are days when we were crying. It is almost warm enough for me to get in my pool. Yeah, so, because it's been 100 or close to 100 for a while. So, yeah.
Let me see. Icky.
Yeah.
Too hot, too hot.
Too hot. For April, the beginning of April?
Well, okay, so for the past 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and today, guess what I was doing?
Outside?
Pulling the materials in and out of my car into a wagon and dragging them into a performance space. 1 on Thursday, in and out. 3 on Friday, in and out, and then 1 today. So
Dress clothes, and
in
you're
dress
sweating like a
clothes
pig.
and
And
dress
fancy shoes.
Yep. So tell me about the heat.
So this is
Don't wait.
one of my projects I'm concentrating on this month. This is Botanical Bee by Hands-On Design. Concentrating on is a loose term.
You look at it occasionally.
I work on it some part of every day,
Oh, that's good.
but I haven't gotten as far as I had hoped. There is no way I'm finishing this month. I have 1 wing done.
That's good.
But the problem is that this 32 count, I've stitched on 32 count a lot, but I'm like, those holes have gotten a lot smaller. So, yeah. Sorry, the wings don't look even. If one is here and one is here, ask me if I care.
Bees, they fly. Maybe it's a flying at an angle.
Dive bombing. And I worked some more on Cute Crocodile by Tiny Modernist, because this is on 14 count Ada. And I didn't work on it tons and tons, but when my eyes needed a break, I worked on this. And when I say a break, I mean not navy blue and not 32 count and not black, because I also have been working on this. I work on,
You have all dark fabric.
I do. I've been working on Snowed in Winter for some part of every morning, except yesterday morning when the dogs wouldn't stop barking. Well, my dog was barking, the other dog was just there. That dog has yet to make a sound other than a little bit of whining.
Oh.
So, he's a really good dog. So, I'm still deciding what I want to do in this area, if I want it to say winter or what I want to do. But I know I'm going to do at least the first row and around in white. So I decided I'd just go with that. And then I have to do the snowflakes on the sides like this up here. But it's getting there. I'm hoping that working on it, when I say I work on it some part of every morning, I'm talking about 15 minutes, half an hour at the most. And then I put it away for another day. I'm so close to being done, I want to be done. But it's also, although I just now went, gee, I thought I had started that in the middle. Obviously not.
No.
And then,
Let me see the. It looks like you have a lot done. Oh wow.
Little snowflakes.
as you may recall,
That's good.
Beth bought me this pattern, Big Awesome
Move
Produce.
up to the right.
There's a hare in my garden. And when I do a berry, usually the fabric is a little smaller than this for the normal berries that I do. Okay? Yeah. So this is going to be big. And I ordered all the pearl cotton because I couldn't find it locally sourced. And I forgot to order white. What color is in the middle?
White.
White. So I went to Hobby Lobby to look for white. And in the slot for number 5, which is what this is, there was a number 8. But it looked like 8 was also
In the number 8.
in the number 8 bin, and that was a bigger spool. So I was like, well, is this number 5? What is that 8 for? And I tried to look, and obviously it was a number 8. Because when I got here, there's an obvious size difference. So I may go to Michael's tomorrow. I'll return the one I bought, and I may go to Michael's tomorrow and see if they have it. But I may return it Monday and go on Monday. I'm not sure. Or I could order it again, but I don't want to pay shipping. I might order a pattern if I do that. So that would be bad. But look at those beautiful colors.
Let me see.
Oh, no.
Oh wow. That is pretty.
Yeah.
So I bought 2 big rings like this one. This is what I have my Threadworks on, which is what this Moonlit Moth is being done with.
Oh, I see.
And it was a package of 2 because I said I'm going to put these on thread drops. I have more bunnies.
I love thread drops.
So that is all I'm doing. Lots of mistakes, lots of bad things.
Done?
I'm done.
You love this, Beth?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I worked some more on my barn owl from last week. I had a couple more days before I hit the 7-day goal. This is Cottage Garden Samplings, the Year in the Woods series, the Barn Owl. And so when I started, I had, before, I had done the outline of the owl. And last week I talked about how I had started on more, I think I had finished, or almost finished, the brown lacing of the body, the brown on his body. And so I finished all the brown, I think, all the tree branches that have brown on them and all that. I did a little bit of black here and there, and then I did a little bit of it's WIP Works grits, the white around his eyes. I did one side of his face and not the other side yet. And then I did like down
Does that
here.
mean he's winking at you?
Yeah, down on the body, there's like little individual stitches of black and that grits color. So I did those, and then I did this. There's a bunch of blue on his top of his head and on his body, and so there's about 2 or 3 more lines like this across the body here. But I did a little more than 7 days because in the middle of that, around the 7th day, Tuesday would have been, I think, or maybe Monday. What did I say? Whatever the 7th was, Tuesday was the 7th. So Tuesday would have been 7 days. But like we had a showing, I guess, on Monday or something, and that always kind of, disrupts, makes me very tired. It's very exhausting, the whole routine that I go through with my cats and everything. And so I didn't stitch nearly as much as I wanted. And then Tuesday, I just kind of goofed around, and I had a lot of ambitions of what I was going to do, and I ended up doing very little until very late at night. And so I went ahead and like stitched late that night, and then just kept going until Thursday. And then Friday, I finally started my other WIP-GO project. So this says about basically more like 9 days on it, 9 or 10 days. But I also wanted to finish some of the blue stuff, the little feathered blocks, and then also in these leaves, there's 3 or 4 sections of some of the blue threads in there also. So I just went ahead and finished as much as possible. So anyway, so I did a lot on that one. And so, I don't know that this is close to being finished. I kind of wanted to finish the owl just like I had finished the woodpecker last time, but I did more of the other little details around it. So anyway, so that's the barn owl. And then my other WIP-GO, my second WIP-GO WIP was the jackrabbit. And when I started it last night, today's Saturday, so yesterday, Friday, I started on it, and I just finished the outlines of the ears because I had them partly done. I think one ear like halfway done, and the other one just started. So I finished them. The black part of the ears. The inside of the ears is sort of an orange color, and then there's this white, very center lacing on there. And
and I had finished before I had, done the cabin and a couple of these purple flowers. It's whatever color, maybe weeks, I don't know. Yeah, Weeks That Works Lilac is the purple flower color, and then Aged Pewter is the sort of one of the gray colors on the rabbit, and the other color is a DMC, and I have basically all of the DMC colors, all or almost all of the DMC regular colors. But I also have a box of DMC threads that Naomi gave me some time ago I guess you had bought a kit or something, or I don't know what, but they were older
All
threads.
my failed projects.
and they're, very nicely bobbinated and all that. And so I was using that, but I got to like this much of this color left. And I have another bobbin of this somewhere floating around, I don't know. But I went ahead, since we were at Hobby Lobby, I went ahead and bought another skein of this just because there's a little bit more of it down on the bottom part of this rabbit, and I don't know that I'll get to it because it's like the underside of his tail, the underside of his tail here and the bottom of his feet down here. But so I have to do all of this before I get to it. But what I have left of the other bobbin is probably not enough if I were to get to it, so I went ahead and just bought another skein. Anyway, so that's basically a day and a half of stitching on the jackrabbit. And so hopefully by next Saturday I will have finished that. And so while we were at Hobby Lobby, I bought another pair of scissors because I'm an addict. My name is Beth and I'm a scissor addict.
Are they at least different?
They're black. I have one black pair.
Oh my gosh.
But and then I bought some threads for this jackrabbit because I don't know where those bobbins are. But the other thing I did was that the reason I didn't stitch as much on Tuesday and Wednesday is that I cleaned out my box of shame. And I have 5 of those plastic bins that are big enough for the bobbins, and I had like a whole set, and some of them I have multiple numbers of,
Multiple skeins of the same number.
Multiple skeins of multiple bobbins of the same number, just because I've bought them,
Didn't know you had them, etc.
Either didn't know I had them, or I was just too lazy to look for the bobbin and just bought another skein of it. And so, and I had several bobbins where I had just taken the label and put it on the bobbin just instead of writing the number down. So I went ahead and wrote all those numbers on the bobbins where I had had those labels saved, and I put everything, and I had like some of those little boxes that I also had just random, whenever I had finished a project, I pulled them out of the project and stuck them in there because I was too lazy to put them away the way they're supposed to be. As my mother would say, el flojo trabaja doble. The lazy one works double.
Yep.
Because I sat there on my bed with all the boxes and all the and put everything, and of course they're not in the order in my box of shame. They were just in a jumble. So I, had to go through and, try to separate. Okay, these are, these numbers 300s and these are 400s, and so
Do those correspond to colors though? No. Like all the 400s are different shades of green.
No, you'll have like say 500, 501, 502, 503 are all like, green and darker green, or green and lighter green, or whatever.
Part of that is that they had, like, say they had 1 through 100, okay? And then a couple of years later, they added more, and so they put in 100 through 200.
Right.
But you know, so now,
So the yellows could be 15 and 95 and 110.
yeah,
Yeah.
now there
Yeah.
are whole blocks where they're shades of the same color.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, so anyway, they're all, you know, in place now, for the most part, except for the ones that are in the project bags. But at least the box of shame is empty.
That's good. Good for you.
Anyway, another thing I bought at Hobby Lobby was this little, stand. And because in my, new starts for this month for WIP-GO, one of them is frostbite. And I was thinking in my head, I had glanced at it, and it's full coverage. But I was thinking it was just circular, right? And I was thinking, oh, I can just finish it as a circle. It's, you know, whatever. And so I had trying to decide what fabric I had that would work for it. I had bought, just on a whim, some 14 count Aida that is, it's printed like on one side, you know, not on the other. But it's like blue and pink colors modeled, you know, around there. And so I thought, well, I could do it on the, you know, if it's full coverage, the color of the fabric doesn't really matter. But, you know, I may or may not do it that way, blah, blah, blah. And the model on the cover of this design, the model on the front is, they did the center of it, and then they, you know, did fabric all around it and then mounted it in a frame. So the fabric on the sides did matter for that one. But I thought, well, but if I make it a circular thing, then I have to cut off part of the bottom, and I don't know if I want to do that, blah, 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 blah. So I was looking at Hobby Lobby to see if something struck me as inspirational for the way to finish it. So I saw this little stand thing, and I bought it. It's like a little chalkboard surface kind of, but I figure whatever fabric I use, I can like make it just a little border around it, you know, so that to make it more square or make it whatever. But that way I can finish it on here instead of trying to finish it as a circle or anything like that. So, but then the other thing, I had some time ago, I had gotten a thing in the mailbox that said, you know, oh, you know, we tried to deliver this, but you didn't, you know, we missed you or something like that. And they had left a little delivery notice thing in my mailbox because what they were trying to deliver, I guess, required a signature. And so it said, you know, you could sign this and say where to leave it and yada. And so to get back in your mailbox, it said. So I stuck it back in my mailbox, and then we checked the mail a few days later, and that little card was still in there. I think it had laid flat in the mailbox, and the mailman didn't see it, you know, because we have those little multiple residence banks of mailboxes, so they're skinny little mailboxes like this, and they're flat. And our mailbox happens to be like at eye level or a little above, and so I figured the mailman just didn't see the little card in there, so I stuck it in the outgoing mail slot.
It didn't help that there were 2 days when the mailman couldn't get to the mailboxes.
Our street was being resurfaced and yada yada, so it was a big mess out there.
I saw him the first time. I saw him parked on the side street over there, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to walk all the way to the mailboxes." I was like, "Poor guy."
But so I when I found it again, I stuck it in the outgoing slot so he could, you know, hopefully he would see it. So then a few days later, when Eve went and checked the mail, and the box was there. And it's from a person, I did not recognize the name. It said A. Costa. And the reason that it required a signature was it had a customs slip from Portugal.
Oh, wow.
And the name is Andrea Costa. Now, if you're one of my subscribers, I don't recognize your name, I'm sorry. But this is what she sent me.
Oh, those are cute.
Little fish
Adorable.
platters.
And so I don't know if these were intended for my cats or
That's cute.
what, but they're very adorable. But there was not a card or a letter in there, so I apologize, Andrea. I don't know anything about these, but they're very nice. They're lovely. They were very well packaged. They were like wrapped in foam and bubble wrap and all kinds of stuff. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and the little they were wrapped in this really pretty little like lily paper, and it said a gift for you. So I don't know anything else than that. But thank you very much. You're very kind.
That's pretty.
And then also, my follower Gloria, who lives in New Mexico, where I grew up.
We all grew up there. But
Yeah, all very nice. I had mentioned, I think here also, but also on my channel, that that a couple of the patterns that I have, and these were patterns that were done by Janine Gowan of the Blue Flower, and they call for cottage garden threads, and I've been having this was the first time I got them. I ordered them was for a pattern that she did for the Jingle Ball Festive Forest, I think is what it's called. It's the one that I talked about before that we called it the muffin
Oh, yeah.
during the Jingle Ball, and you know because you stitch it and you do it like a drum and then it has points on it. Like anyway, so 3 of the threads on that project were these cottage garden threads, and I had found one. They were all like out of stock when I tried to order them, and except for one. So there were 2 more for that thing, and then she for Nashville released another pattern, and it called for several cottage garden threads. And when we were at the attic last weekend, I found one of them, and because they don't have very many at the attic at present, I don't know if they're planning on carrying more or whatever, but for now they just have a handful of them. And so I had mentioned it, and so she very kindly commented on my video that she goes, you know, let me know the ones you need, and I'll check my stash and see what I have. And so I did, and she sent me some threads. So she sent me shadows and silver birch.
Variegated?
And scandalous. This is one that I saw it at the attic. They had like a 4-pack of threads for some project that they were, some pattern they were offering. But the other 3 in that 4-pack I didn't need. I needed one, but I was not going to buy the 4-pack just for the one thread. But so she very kindly sent me 3 of these. So yay. That's, you know, thank you very much, Gloria. And then this is just a little card that I got from Chewy. I'm like, you know, I thought it at first when I saw that it was an envelope from Chewy, I thought, oh, it's probably one of those, you know, order your prescription meds for your pet, whatever. You know, but I opened it and it says, someone's another year cuter. There's a little kitty in a birthday hat. Because this is a birthday card for my cats, Puck and Snug.
Their birthday observed?
Yeah, their birthday observed is April 15th. Because, you know, when you fill up the Chewy stuff, you know, they ask you your pet's names and their birthday and blah, blah, blah. And so their birthday observed is April 15th, which is tax day. That way I can always remember their birthday. Because when I got Puck, I found him in June, and the vet estimated that he was about 6 weeks old, which would have made his birthday around the middle of April. And then Snug, I got a few years later, a friend of mine, and their cat had her kittens. He said, I think it was the 1st or the 8th of April, sometime in the beginning of April. So I just made them both the 15th. And so yeah, they sent me a little birthday card, here's to another year filled with zoomies, yummy treats, and all the cozy naps.
Aww.
So yeah, so that was fun. Anyway, so yeah, that's me.
All right, well now it's time for question of the week. Last week we asked, what's in your notions? What's in your wallet? What's in your notions bag? I think we talked about ours last week, how we kind of
we did
do that. And we got tons of answers. Thank you so much. We love hearing from you. We heard all about your scissors and your threads and your all of your different notions and where you keep them, and that's really cool. Everybody has their way, their zen. Sometimes I guess I used to have a notions pouch that would go with me everywhere, and now I'm kind of scattered. I'm in a scattered phase right now. Like this bag has nothing in it but the needles and the yarn, but yeah, so that was great to hear from you all.
And we did actually hear from someone who says that she has an extra long thick needle that has a frog on it. You want a frog that close to your stitching?
Well, maybe it's for frogging.
I'm sure it is.
Because that helps you pull out the stitches that are bad, right? So,
yeah.
Well, in my notions pouch, basically this is like in this case with all these cottage garden things, I used the plastic bag that the pattern came in, and because I have like 3 in a project bag, right? Because there are 3 on a piece of fabric, and so I have them sort of separated in these little plastic bags. So I have all the threads in here, and the scissors. I have 1 pair of scissors for the set of 3. So
yeah. I try to consolidate. I have several different things but that little metal case that I bought for myself.
Yeah.
Well, and I like
really,
to keep a pen handy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You gotta have pens and all that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this week we are wondering, what do you do with your finished projects? Whether it's cross stitch.
Like Beth just bought this to put something.
Yeah. Do you display tabletop? Do you hang them? Frame and hang them on the wall? Do you make primarily like pillows?
Flat finishes.
Yeah.
Ornaments.
Do you make them for gifts? Do you give most of them away? Do you keep them for yourself? What's your vibe when you finish something? When you fully finish it, right? You finish the stitching, then how do you process after that? Rachel's she's got a display of her, she's going gangbusters. She's on her like 4th big one.
Yeah, and she fully finishes them right away.
Immediately. That's great. And so she's got a nice wall going.
Or do you just put them in a box under your bed?
Which is fair. I mean, that's fair. Because if you're a process crafter.
If this is what you want to do, and you don't feel like
because there's the process. We call it process knitting versus product knitting. And I'm sure the same thing with cross stitch and everything else. It's like I like doing the thing. So whether I think I'm really a process person because I rarely finish anything. So I just like having something to do. And what happens is, I guess maybe I have a bit of an obsessive nature because I like with this Crafted Life Companion, I saw it on Instagram or something or Facebook or something, and I was like, that's really cool. And then I started perseverating on it, and I'm like, okay, well, I could make that.
Well, like right now,
and so then I gotta do it. I gotta stay up all night. I gotta stay up all night and do it.
Right now, I really enjoy making these. I've crocheted most of my life. I know how. I've known how since I was a child. And then I don't. And then I do. And then I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to crochet anything to wear because it's 100 degrees outside.
Well, you know that when I first started watching Just Keep Stitching, that was one of the things that they did. They finished it and they put it, like they said, under the bed box. And but then lately, you know, partly because they have like a buy me a coffee link, whatever. So people donate money to that to help, and that they use that for framing purposes. So they have behind them where they film. Behind them on the wall, they have all of these framed pieces, and so every season, I guess, or every month, they change out the things that are on there.
Neat.
But so some people have, you know, and other people I've seen, you know, like they have a craft room, and that so on the walls all over their craft area, you know, they have all these framed finishes. One of the things when I first started cross stitching. The very first one I finished, well, I finished some little kits first that I gave away, but then the first big one that I finished, I made for my grandmother, and it's like it was like a Dimensions kit or whatever, a Lucilla kit or something, but it was a mother swan and 2 baby swans and some willows and all that, and so I started it in Albuquerque just before, you know, like a few months or the year before I moved out to Little Rock. And so then I finished it in Little Rock, and I sent it to my mother, and I told her, oh yeah, just go to Michael's and get it framed. I had no idea how expensive it was. So my mom was like, it was really expensive, you know. But so that's the only thing I own that was professionally framed.
She should have said, no, you.
Yeah. But since it was like a gift from my grandmother, I guess she did it. And then when my grandmother passed away, my mom got it, and then when my mom passed, it's in the house, so it's in storage, right, with everything else. But so for the first several years that I did it, there at my mom's house, there was a whole bunch of framed things, and I framed them myself. And now I look back and I think, did I put like masking tape in there?
Probably.
You know, it's just like,
okay.
And you know,
you do what you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
You do what you know to do.
Yeah. I don't know what
you know better.
What I mounted the stitching on or whatever. It might have been like, you know, cereal box cardboard, you know, stuff. I don't know.
That's what I did.
But I know that like several of the frames that I used were at the time Hobby Lobby and probably Michael's also carried these framed pieces, so you could buy, you know, this width for the thing and this long pieces. So you would buy 2 long pieces and 2 short pieces or whatever, and put them together yourself. And so that was how I did several of them. But one of my favorite ones, and I wish I had it here now. It's as far as I know, everything got boxed up at when my parents moved out here, and we just never unboxed it. I'm hoping that it's in a box somewhere. But one of my favorite ones was in my parents' bathroom.
Oh, those seashells?
For years, yeah. It's called windowsill shells, I think it's called. And it's very like, mauves and, you know, that kind of color. And a lot of half stitches, you know, because it's like based on a watercolor, I think, or something. And so there's, you know, the shells, and then as the edges of the picture like fade away, whatever, there's like half stitches.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
it's pretty.
It's really pretty.
So we want to know how you finish.
How are you finishing them? And have your finishing techniques changed over time?
What do you?
Yeah, I do a lot of pillows.
I almost never even consider framing, and I haven't been back into cross stitch for a long time, but I'm not generally let somebody else do it for me or
Well, you're so crafty, you don't need to. You got
I
a
do
lot of
want to
skills.
frame the temperature charts,
Yeah.
the 2 that I finished, and even the one I'm working on. I do want to frame them so that I can, at some point, have them
Displayed.
Yeah.
you know, one next to the other,
That's
Well, and also because they're just like big square or rectangular or whatever. So
Yeah.
they,
But overall, I don't want want stuff hanging on the wall. I want artwork on the walls.
Well, it's a
Well,
kind of
one thing I'm wondering about, because I really haven't thought it through, is
what you're gonna do with
is
those?
what
I
I'm
was
gonna do
thinking
with
about
these.
that.
Because you know, I've done them in sets of 3 like this, and so you know, I think, well, you know, I could.
It would be a
Do
nice,
wall
I think
hanging
it'd be
and-
framed.
I
Yeah.
think,
frames.
I also think it would be nice wall hanging like you did Rachel's owl.
That owl, yeah.
Mhm.
If
Yeah,
you put a
'cause I
good,
had-
if you put, you know,
Except your
interface,
months are out of
please
order.
if you should put yeah, but you don't have the months written on there.
No,
No, I know, but I was just saying like,
Oh,
you know, they're out of order.
This
No,
one-
but you could
this
do
one-
like,
these 2 are out of order.
yes, you could do like, you know, January, February, March, April, May, June.
Mhm.
You know, like, and maybe, and change them out for the seasons, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking about that, like, because I have, and I've seen them at before, you know, where you can buy like wooden, like raw wood kind of things, not dowels, but branches basically.
Uh-huh.
And so they could, you know, hang from the branch.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And so yeah, that's kind of what I was envisioning, but I haven't, you know, gone beyond thinking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that, you know.
You gotta finish it
But
first.
yeah, I've done a lot of pillows more recently, and one of the things that I have been that I had wanted to do, and I haven't done it yet because I haven't finished the stitching, is the Sleepy Hollow things that were
Yeah.
they were designed. You could make them into drums. You could either do a single sampler kind of thing, or you could do individual strips as drums. And my original intention was to do drums. I know they're actually pretty big for that. And I haven't stitched the tops, which are, you know, the circular parts that go on the top if you make them into drums. I haven't even begun to stitch those. And I've only finished the strip part of, I think, only one. I don't think I even finished the second one
Yeah.
yet. Maybe I did, I don't know.
Okay, so
But
if
yeah,
you're,
so it's a lot, you know.
it's always a big thing of like how to do it.
Yeah.
If you're a knitter, the question is,
Mhm.
how quickly do you block your items? Because that's the thing, like, do you have a stack of things that need to be blocked? I went through that. Because usually the things I knit are like a gift or something, so I'm motivated to
and
to
how many
block
quilt
them.
tops do you have waiting to be quilted? I don't know. I have some.
I've got one. But yeah, so that's the knitter's equivalent of fully finishing is blocking. Because you know, and with at least for me, it takes up a lot of space. Like
Yeah.
that shawl I made for Hannah's teacher
Mhm.
was like 7 feet long. I had to like
You
do
did it
I had
at
to
the
do
garage?
a table in the garage with extensions to hold the tips. It was so, but it was beautiful. I wish I could see it again. She says she wears it, but I wish I could see it again. But yeah, so
Yeah, I can't imagine. There was I saw a woman. I guess it was a floss tube kind of thing, and she did like, you know, knitting. I think it was on her thing. It was I don't even know who it was, but she was stitching like a long like, you know, coat kind of thing.
Stitching or knitting?
Knitting, sorry,
Yeah.
knitting. And I thought, you know, like, that's the thing. How would you block something like that? You would have to,
yeah. You get 2 tables and lots of cover on your table. And
Mhm.
the problem is I can't block stuff like that in my house
Mhm.
because I have a cat
Yeah.
who likes wool, and wet wool is very smelly, and he likes that. Oh my gosh, he's a little something else. He steals my yarn. Still tries to steal my yarn. What was I going to tell you? I was going to tell you a story. Well, I saw a sign at the coffee shop the other day that said, "I may look like I'm not doing anything, but in my head I'm very busy."
Yeah.
Like, that's me.
Oh, when you were talking about being all dressed up and going to do all that symphony stuff,
Yeah.
and getting all, you know, hot and sweaty and all
That's
that.
what we're going to do tomorrow.
Yeah. it reminded me of the other night while I was stitching. I was watching on YouTube. I was watching some symphony performance or something, and it was oh, I think it was some famous symphony. I don't remember what, but it had like there was some really nice. Wind solos and this solo and that solo and this special like exposed part or whatever, and the camera work was just terrible because here somebody has a beautiful solo going on and the camera is focusing on the conductor or the strings when the woodwinds are playing something special, and
It's
so
called somebody who doesn't have a score. And
someone's just going point, point. And like but then like the camera was on the conductor for a long time, and he was kind of goofy looking because he looked like he needed to take a shower and needed to shave and needed to comb his hair because he had one of those scruffy, unshaven face things
artist
look,
artist look going on.
Yeah, because like it's either grow a beard or shave it off because it looked scruffy. It looked like it didn't look like it didn't look like a full like how some men have a light beard but it's trimmed nice. It just looked like he hadn't shaved. And then he was sweaty, of course, because conductors oftentimes work up a big sweat, but he was like flopping his hands around, and but his hair, he had like kind of stringy hair, kind of longish string, and it just was, I guess because of his exertion or whatever, his hair was like all over the place, and
he thinks he looks arty that way.
And so I was just like, this guy looks really messed up.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have to tell you a funny story I heard today. This week. So one of the things I was doing this week was one of our small ensemble, two of our small ensembles were traveling to different locations to do like a community engagement concert, and one was a brass quintet. And one of the things they did was to pass the mic around and ask the players, how long they've been playing, how they started on their instrument, whatever. Mm-hmm. And the tuba player said that he had an older brother who was like 8 years older than him. So they didn't really ever compete because like he was so much older that there was no competition. But he wanted to do everything his older brother did. So one day his older brother was watching Mr. Rogers, and on Mr. Rogers they had the Empire Brass Quintet playing. And Mr. Rogers was engaging, like I think he tried some of the instruments and all that kind of stuff. So his older brother was watching him. And he loved the tuba so much that he decided to play the tuba. So that was the older brother. So then this tuba player was like, so of course I want to play the tuba like my older brother. So I played the tuba in band, and then went to school, and I think he went away to school and then came back to ASU here in Arizona and was studying with a tuba teacher here. And then somebody told him, did you ever see him in Mr. Rogers? So it turns out that the teacher that he was studying with at Arizona State was the guy in Empire Brass that influenced his older brother to play the tuba. So he's like tuba players are like villains in a Marvel movie. There's always some reason why they play the tuba. So
this week in some of my classes, we've been doing a cartoon, and there's always somebody, can I do it like this, or can I make it that, and usually it's like, no, just do it the way we're doing it. You can draw it however you want to at home, just redraw it and draw it whatever you want, unless it's something minor, right? Mm-hmm. So I was doing one last walkthrough to see how people were doing. One little girl was doing just fine until she decided to spend most of her time climbing all over the table trying to talk to the boys across the table. But in that same classroom, I walked up and I went, this is a cartoon. I want you to take off the pointy teeth and the slanty eyes and put the round eyes and the smile that is on our drawing. You know, and I said, you want to make a change, it better be an appropriate change.
Oh, no.
I'm like, and this was at your old stomping grounds.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He's always trying to put in something with pointy teeth. I said, you can redraw this at home with all the pointy teeth you
No
want.
vampires.
You know, I'm like,
No monsters.
that is not the drawing we're drawing, because then they go home and their parents they don't
What
know
are they
that's not.
teaching my child?
Yeah, they don't know that's not what we drew. You know, and
Well, if he goes home with the appropriate drawing, they're probably like, oh, thank goodness, something without fangs.
right, and he wasn't the only child in that
Well,
class.
of course, that spreads like a disease.
So if it's at the table, yeah, everybody's trying to put the little slanty eyes and the fangs and the sharp pointy teeth.
No monsters.
But it wasn't even just that table. And it's not like they were talking to each other. No, at this table over here, I'm like, take the pointy teeth off, no fangs. Okay, now, at one of my other schools, they come and I'm looking at it and it's a little smile that looks kind of like a V, right? And there was a little pinky tongue sticking out. I'm like, that is fine, you know?
Oh my gosh, I saw the coolest
Especially
thing.
since these are supposed to be babies of this thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh my
I
gosh.
saw the cutest thing on, I don't know what, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, I don't know what it was. So I just see, anyway, I saw this video and I confess, I didn't watch the whole thing and I didn't listen to it. But this mom the little girl was like, I don't know, 6-ish, and it reminded me of Hannah. And I was like, why didn't I think of that? This mom had a, what do you call it? An art show for her daughter's, craft, or paintings and all that stuff. And they invited their friends and family and other little kids. And so the people came, like, I'm here for the art show, and they gave her flowers, and then I guess during the art show they were actually doing other, crafts and stuff, but she was there explaining. At first I thought, is she in her pajamas? Because then there were other parts of the video where she was in a pretty little dress, but I realized she had been painting, so she was like in a big t-shirt painting smock. But she was there saying, well, this one my mom and I did with blah blah blah. It was so cute, and it was just a little kid drawing. It wasn't like she was some kind of, exceptional prodigy, like it was some kind of things that, but it was the most adorable thing.
What a good
And they
idea.
had like this whole, like,
What a great idea.
entry wall, it was just a party, and then they had kids and they were all there painting something or something. But I thought, what a great idea.
Yeah.
What a neat idea.
A way to support your child's interest in art and have something
Fun for the kids.
have something wholesome that you can do for a party for your kid.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, that's a
that
great
reminds
idea.
me of that time when I came out here to visit you, and I guess it must have been for New Year's or something. And Hannah was pretty little, and she was just getting into painting or something. I think it might have been around the time you bought paints for her or something like that. I don't know. But she had a little easel at home and whatever. And I went to, you and I went, I think we went to meet Mark for lunch, or I don't know where, we were somewhere in a little coffee shop kind of place. And in there they had a bunch of paintings on the walls of, some local artist. And one of them was just like a series of squiggly lines of color, different colors like this,
And I think the
And it
patterns
was-
or something? And patterns or something like that?
I don't know, it was just like little, it was a kind of stripes of color, but like in wavy lines or something. But it wasn't a picture of anything, it was
Right.
just all these different colors. But it reminded me of a picture that you had shown me that Hannah had done, and it was the same thing. These little squiggly lines of color. I mean, it looked almost.
No, I thought, no,
looked
actually
very
what
similar.
happened, no, I remember that. What happened was, we were all there and she saw it. And then she went home and made her own. I
Oh, did
remember
she?
that.
Oh.
Yeah, because
I thought it was the
we
other way
still have
around.
it. No, she saw that and was inspired by that, and it was stripes of color, but in each stripe was like a geometric something like that, and we still have that somewhere, and she went, and she was very little, and she did that. What I like is, you know, she's a musician and very successful, but she's working at the Museum of Fine Arts, and so she sends me daily photos, almost daily, of artwork that she's doing. She says, because she'll sit when she's not working, she has you know, downtime, and I'm going to show you one right now. She sends me these pictures, and she told me that working there has resurrected her love of drawing, and I think, let's see, she sent it just to me. Yeah, like this. It's like it's extinct birds, but then she writes little things about them. But like I don't know. It's just she's been doing a lot.
She has a very good style.
Yeah. Which is what inspired me to do the journal cover, because she buys blank books, and she journals, and then she'll draw in her journal. It's funny because sometimes she'll send a picture and she has part of the text redacted, like because it's her actual journal. Yeah. So that we can't read. Oh yeah. So here's where she drew a capybara.
That's really cute.
Yeah, and she's been doing this with like these red pens, like.
That same
so
school,
cute.
I'm sitting there and I see a girl with a big red marker, not a regular marker like we're doing our project with, just like a thick red marker. I said, go put that back in your backpack. And so she did. And then I saw her disappear out into the hallway when we were coloring. And I said, where did you go? And I saw the red marker in her hand. I said, you go put that back in your backpack. I'm like,
use it at home.
Why would you want, you have perfectly good markers.
It's my red marker.
It's like, if you want to color all over your drawing with red marker, be my guest at home.
Yeah.
Because the parents don't know that that I didn't allow that.
Right.
Because they pay a lot of money
Yeah.
for their kid to be in that class.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, some things that kids do when I'm stapling their paper and they bring it up, and I'm like, I start laughing. They're so cute. I'm like,
They do what?
just these cute little different things, just how they do things, you
Yeah.
know? Like one little, see my dog and give her medicine, take my own medicine.
Okay. Well, I have got to go soon. I've been out. I've been basically out all day. I'm tired. And so I'm wearing this goofy dressy shirt because I came straight from work. So
Yeah, and I have to feed the dogs.
I have to feed dogs. I mean, men. Eli's probably extra hungry because he started his job this week.
Oh, yeah, I
so-
was gonna say that.
Yeah, he's enjoying it. He's working at the grocery store, and he's. It sounds like his bosses really like him, and because he's like, I don't know how to do this, so they're like, all right, go do it. So he's doing real well. He's happy.
So,
But I'm gonna go. I'm probably gonna be up all night working on this, so I'm excited. And the snaps will come tomorrow, so I can only go so far, but it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm excited.
okay, bye.
So, we will see you next week. Oh, so this Sunday is Palm Sunday.
Yes.
Oh, well, happy Palm Sunday. And we hope you have a great week, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.